Well, the Eagles get it done at Arrowhead. The Lions explode, and we still can't keep Joe Burrow upright. Plus, Danny Parkins, FS1, joins me. It is time for the Sunday Pig Pile. What's up, all you crazy D-aliens? Welcome inside another Sunday edition of Watch D.A Live. Every single Sunday, we do this at 7:30 Eastern Time. We get it done before kickoff of the Sunday night football game. So this is where you come for immediate reaction on Sunday nights to the day of football. In week 2, the deuce was loose. What a weird, crazy, amazing day of football. Danny Parkins, FS1, is going to join me coming up here in a few minutes from now. Let's get things cooking with your Furious Five. The Kansas City Chiefs have a problem. It's called 0-2, and there is only a finite amount of teams that have dug out of 0-2 to win a Super Bowl. It has happened. It can happen. There's 4 teams in NFL history that have done it. But it is a tall task. 0-2 is no joke. And the reason the Chiefs are 0-2 is that they haven't played particularly good football. As we all know, I am a history major when it comes to the NFL. And I swear by the truth that is, if you lose the Super Bowl, you don't get back to win it. I know it has happened. It happened in recent times with the 2018 New England Patriots. But by and large, there's a reason. It is so hard to climb that mountaintop that when you get knocked off that mountaintop of the final game, it takes you a while to reboot. Now, if there is a team, a coach, a quarterback that would be well suited to reboot, it'd be this team. But it's hard. And note that the Chiefs play in almost every AFC championship game since Patrick Mahomes got into the league. They have, and had played in 3 consecutive Super Bowls. So there is a lot of taxation. There's a lot of exhaustion. There's a lot of things that happen when you go that deep into the playoffs. The fact is also that you can dismiss going to Brazil because it's a long trip, but they didn't play good football. It's at least not offensively. And against the Eagles, once again, we saw how hard it is for this team to jerry-rig long drives and scoring drives. And when that ball goes off of Travis Kelce's hands, it's like this is the new Chiefs, where it's a labor to get down the field, and then you can't even count on one of the greatest tight ends of all time to haul in a pass to the end zone. Kind of everything's not quite working. Even on that final scoring drive, when Mahomes missed his wide open receiver down the near sideline, ultimately they would score on that drive, but that's a throw that Mahomes usually makes 99 out of 100 times, maybe 100 out of 100 times, but this year it feels off. Xavier Worthy out. Rashee Rice suspended. A team that is relying on Kareem Hunt for significant rushing yards. It's just an offense that it takes too much energy to move the football. And that has bitten the Chiefs. Am I going to kick dirt on them? Absolutely not. If there is a team that overcomes 0-2 that can look this bad, they looked bad at times last year as well, the Chiefs would be the team that would buck the trends. But last year, what they did was they didn't play great football, but they kept winning games. A lot of one-score games that they won. Quirky plays at the end of the games. Deflected field goal kicks. No, the opponent doesn't get 2 feet inbound to the end zone. An errant snap that an opponent doesn't fall on. These things kind of all came to fruition for the Chiefs last year. And because of it, they never had to dig themselves out of a hole despite playing not great football. This year, now they do. Now they have to dig themselves out of 0-2 in a much improved division where the Chargers already have a win over them, where the Broncos have some momentum coming out of the offseason and last season, and the Raiders should be improved. It is not a good spot to be in for the Chiefs at the moment at 0-2. From an Eagles standpoint, hey, is that a great football game for the Eagles? It is not. And I absolutely cannot stand the fact that you have the tush push that cannot even be officiated correctly. I mean, no one is going to play the violins for the Chiefs, who were the beneficiaries of many, many calls last year and through the years. But, I mean, we're going to have the tush push. We're going to keep it legalized. Can we at least officiate it correctly to where the Eagles don't have a double advantage, where they've got guards jumping into the neutral zone before the snap? That would seem to be the most basic of ways to officiate this play. You're looking down the line. You know exactly what the Eagles are doing. They don't fake that snap or fake that handoff in bootleg. They don't fake that handoff and play action, throw it. They always just grind it up the middle. Can we just look down the line to make sure guys are not in the neutral zone? Because that's a pretty massive miss twice by the officials in this game. But the Eagles have done enough in these first 2 games to be 2-0. And much like I was saying, the Chiefs did this way last year to keep their head above water, even when they didn't play great football. The Eagles have done that. And championship teams in today's NFL work out the kinks on the fly. There's an old adage where you're trying to fix the plane as you're flying. That's kind of what happens today's NFL, because there's so little reps with the ones in the preseason. There's so few moments of real action until you get to week number 1 that you really work out the kinks in September, and you just want to win games before you actually hit your best selves. And the Eagles have done that through the first 2 weeks. They've gotten the wins. They've looked okay. Jalen Hurts was okay in this game. He was really great against the Dallas Cowboys. This was just a day where the Eagles defense made it hard on the Chiefs, and ultimately that was the difference in the game. Chiefs falling to 0-2, and if you are in the AFC as a contender, the Bills, the Ravens, you are licking your chops. Look at the Bills. They're 2-0. The Chiefs are 0-2. There's already a jump that the Bills are getting on seeding in the playoffs. All right, next up, how about the Pittsburgh Steelers? We are so far removed from the Steelers being defined by their defense. You don't have to go all the way back to the 70s, but of course that's where this starts, with the Steel Curtain and all of those Hall of Famers. But then as you carry the legacy of the Steelers, the 80s are kind of a lost decade, but by the 90s, you have Kevin Green, you have LaVon Kirkland, you have Greg Lloyd, you have Rod Woodson, Carnell Lake. You have really good, hard-nosed, punishing physical defensive players that put their stamp on games. Then that crew paved the way for the 2000s, where it's Troy Polamalu and James Harrison and those guys that end up winning 2 Super Bowls and going to 3. And again, you are talking about elite physical punishing defensive play. If you give them a lead, they're not giving it up. And you watch the Steelers for the first 2 weeks of this season. Oh my goodness. The Jets, Justin Fields, who laid a big stinking egg against the Bills, and nobody's confusing the Bills with the 2000 Ravens. Justin Fields went up and down the field on the Steelers last week in week number 1, and the Steelers needed that crazy bobbled catch by DK Metcalf at a 60-yard field goal and 4 passing touchdowns by Aaron Rodgers. On Sunday, you had Sam Darnold, who looked like a backup quarterback last week against the Niners. And Darnold jumps out. Again, this is a Seattle team flying all the way to the Eastern time zone, playing at a 1 o'clock window after playing like poop last week against the Niners. And the Steelers defense is nowhere to be found on the first touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba has space to roam throughout the day. And when they absolutely have to get off the football field, Kenneth Walker guts them right up the middle for a touchdown that basically puts the capper on the game. What has happened to the vaunted Steelers defense? What has happened? We are so far gone from when the Steelers could get a lead and say, okay, you protect it, or we need the football back. My goodness. Wow. When it matters most in these last 2 weeks, the Steelers defense, PU, and was like that a lot of last year as well and in recent years. Speaking of the Jets, what a big step backward that was on Sunday against the Bills. You know, last week, week number 1, you could see how Aaron Glenn's vibe had rubbed off on that team. It was a Jets team that played with emotion. They played with a bounce. They played with a tenacity, and they hung in that game and had multiple chances to win that game against the Steelers. Justin Fields was crisp. He was accurate. He made a couple of big plays. They made some mistakes, but after making some mistakes, Aaron Glenn sent everybody on watch. I'll cut you if you make those mistakes. So coming into week number 2, I think there were Bills fans worried, you know what, improved Jets team. We're on the road in this game, coming off an emotional win on Sunday night. This could be a bit of a trap game. This could be a game where the Jets really put a scare into us. And instead, the Jets could do absolutely nothing all day long. They get behind 10-0. They mount a little bit of a drive. And before you know it, that one implodes as well. And, you know, they're chasing the entire day. They can't stop the ground game. James Cook rattles off a big play. And I don't even think a Bills fan would tell you they played an A effort on Sunday. And yet they won 30-10 and led at one point 30-3. During the broadcast, Nance and Romo, which do you ever see Nance and Romo calling Jets games? But Nance and Romo, especially in the 1 o'clock window, Nance and Romo compared today's game, Bills-Jets, to if Alabama would play Middle Tennessee State. I mean, that's what it looked like out there on the field. I think Aaron Glenn ultimately is the right guy for the job of turning things around. But any of the momentum, that was a dead crowd that was sleeping by the second quarter out there. It was non-drive after non-drive. It was the game is over by the time you get to halftime, and it was a total snooze fest for the Jets. That is a big step forward after the momentum they had in week number 1. Big step forward in week number 2. Next up around the NFL today. Why can't we have nice things? I don't think you have to be a Bengals fan to be annoyed and bothered that Joe Burrow keeps getting injured. All we want to do is see Joe Burrow for 17 games. Is that so much to ask? Again, Burrow goes down today. Again, it's a lower body injury. It's an ankle. And again, the Bengals are left scratching their heads going, gosh, I hope this isn't too bad. I hope it's not too bad. You know, I think some of this is dumb luck. Some of this is on the Bengals offensive line. And some of this is on Joe Burrow himself, because sometimes Joe tries to be a hero. In the play in which he gets his ankle tangled up, I just think about how many times I watched Tom Brady chuck a ball into the turf 5 inches from his feet just to stop the play and make sure he didn't get into any type of traffic. And sure, that happened more as he got older, and Joe's not older. Sure, it happened after multiple rings, and maybe you feel like, you know what, I've got patience now because I've won so much, and I can live to see another day. Maybe it's a lot harder when you're still chasing that elusive first championship. But Joe needs to get himself out of harm's way. And I flash back to the preseason, that game against Washington, where he's dialing back, running back 15 yards and getting tackled on his shoulder by two Commanders defensive players, going, why can't Joe just learn, chuck it in the dirt, and then you don't have to worry? I know he's a gamer, and I love him for it. He's a tough SOB. We all love him for it. But I just wish Joe would just chuck it, spike it, kick it into the dirt continuously so he was never in any type of traffic in front of him. Because it feels like every time he's in traffic in front of him, every time he gets tackled, every time he gets sacked, you're like, no, oh, please, no. And it happened again. Happen again. Why can't we have nice things like Joe Burrow healthy for an entire season? Is that too much to ask? Finally, the Detroit Lions. Oh, those Lions. That was a very important week number 2 offensive performance. I never want to go crazy about week 2, week 1, week 3, really until we get into October. I think we can all agree you don't need to overreact too badly. But the way they had played in week 1 against the Packers, the offseason of losing both coordinators and a couple of offensive linemen, including Frank Ragnow, with Ben Johnson coming into Detroit, this was bigger than your normal week 2. This was bigger. Because if the Lions had put up a pathetic offensive effort like they did in week number 1, if the Bears came in and rattled off 34 points, if it looked like there was a power shift dramatically in the NFC North, that, boy, the Lions had this brief window of 2 seasons to get to a Super Bowl, and it's already slammed closed. That would be pretty darn depressing. And instead, they dropped 50-plus points on the Bears and on Ben Johnson, the guy that so many people thought was the only reason the Detroit Lions offense was explosive. They needed that. They needed that one. And as our headline extraordinaire, the Marquette Marvel-Aiden Hatton, has written there, they needed to cure the Blues. Coming out of week number 1, there was a lot of sky is falling talk in Detroit. And I know Lions fans wanted to be as optimistic as possible, but I had Lions fans reaching out to me this week saying, is the window actually already closed? It's 2 years. And I don't think it is. But had they lost today, had the Bears offense sung today, it would have felt really damning. It would have felt like, man, the magic has left the building and it's going to be a lot to bring it back. So not only did they win, but it wasn't ugly. It wasn't a defensive effort. It was offense. And they punctuated the drives with touchdowns. And for them to drop 50 points on the Bears, on Ben Johnson, and get all the big players involved and get all the offensive weapons that they have intact and engaged, that one, they needed that. That was a feel-good win. It was a feel-good way to win. And Dan Campbell, the Lions, they needed that one. All right, that is your Furious 5. And every week we also go inside all of the best fits of the day. This is a brainchild of the Market Marvel-Aiden Hatton, and that's why we love calling it Fits Magic. This is the magic of the outfits. And here is Giants defensive standout, Kayvon Thibodeau, who is wearing a pretty amazing hat of some sort. Is that a cowboy hat? Is that a hip-hop hat? Is that a Cam Newton hat? Is that a fedora? Plus with the black leather vest and the spider web on the black jeans. Now, boy, that, my friends, is a look. That's a big-time look. How about this fit? This is Sean McVay, Super Bowl champion head coach. one of the more respected head coaches of the NFL, and look at how good this man looks. This man is showing up to the stadium. This is Nashville, where the Rams played at Tennessee, with a crisp-looking three-piece suit, cream-colored with the brown tie, the brown pocket squared, nice clean shoes, nice blue socks, well-fitted, well-tailored. That's just a really good look. I mean, look at that. That's just a really clean, good look. And so what did he do when he actually got to the locker room? He changed into hobo clothes. Yeah, like all these NFL coaches. Why can't that be the coach look? What's wrong with that being the coach look? Why can't coaches come to the stadium looking really nice, really fit, really tailored, and, coach in it? Instead, look at how nice we can look. And then when we get to the locker room, let's wear some oversized sweatshirt or some polo that it looks like you won at some type of golf scramble. And wear your sweatpants and wear your sneakers. And let's turn into a gym teacher for 3.5 hours. Great. And then we're going to go back into the locker room and change back into that suit. What is going on? Add some sanity here. Finally, this is a mascot by the name of Rory. That's right. Lions mascot Rory. And the Lions mascot Rory is wearing something called buffalo glasses. How about this? This is apparently a very Detroit Motown-ish fit. And those glasses have shards of buffalo horn in there. That's right. Buffalo horn. So how about the Lions mascot Rory having just a very Detroit-centric, very really, modernized, on the mark, on the nose fit. That's just good mascot play right there. Very happy with that. Absolutely very happy with that. And that is your Fitzmagic. If you like what you're watching tonight, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Click on this button below me that says subscribe. That's right. Subscribe. Isn't this good? It's great. It's grand. This is Watch D.A. Live. We go over every big story that happened over the course of a Sunday right here, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific, on all these social media platforms. If you're watching on X, make sure you're following me. If you're following or watching on Instagram Live, make sure you're following me. If you're watching on Watch D.A. Live on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That way you get notified when we go live. And I'm really excited about our next guest here. You watch him on FS1, breaking down the NFL. He spent years in Kansas City as well, breaking down the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs. He is a guy that can speak not only to today's Chiefs and Eagles game, but also, of course, the league at large. He's joined us here in the past as well. He's been an author of a basketball book. This man is a Renaissance man. He's my good friend, Danny Parkins. Mr. Parkins, how are you?
The most important line on that bio, still reigning FS1 picks champion, 3-0 today, 4-2 on the season. We're back on top of Nick and Colin. It's a good start to the year. What up, D.A.?
What up? Wow. What was your 3 picks today?
Bills to cover the 6.5. That was easy. Rams to cover the 5.5. It was pretty easy. It was a little dicey there in the third quarter, but pretty sweat-free. And then the Eagles actually over the Chiefs. So that one came down to it. But 3-0. So, we bounced back nicely after a 1-2 start.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so with the Chiefs here,
yeah,
is it a problem how they played the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think it's the type of thing, though, that, it's a problem, but no one panics. Because obviously we know the data on 0-2 teams and missing the playoffs and all of that, but like no one thinks the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. And Xavier Worthy is hurt and Rashee Rice is hurt. And I think a lot of us want to see what this offense looks like with all of their weapons out there. People forget that last year, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy played 0 snaps together all year. So that is still now the case with the Rashee Rice suspension and now the Worthy injury. So the first time we have a potential to see those 3 wide receivers on the field together isn't until, week 7. And so, people are saying that Travis Kelce is washed, and he obviously had a terrible game today. But the guy had 97 catches last year. I just think at this stage of his career, he's not supposed to be the number 1 weapon of an offense. And so Rashee Rice is legitimately great. So I think when you bring back Rice, Worthy slots in it too. Hollywood, I don't think is great, but he's at least a threat. And then Kelce can be, the third option in the passing game. It changes things. And I did think that the Chiefs defense looked pretty good today against a high profile offense. So, I don't think this is a sky is falling situation, but, the Chargers have real reason to believe that they can win this division at this point.
Okay, so it's no sky is falling.
No.
They'll get those guys back, but you do think it's a problem. Why?
Yeah, because the air of invincibility of this team is gone. They only had 4 double-digit wins last year, and they had 2 blowout wins at 14 or more, and none of them were in the playoffs. Like they made it to the Super Bowl and they were 15-2. So their resume looked incredible at the end. But anyone who watched was like, I don't know. They just don't feel invincible. They don't feel dominant. At times they felt lucky. And learning how to win is a skill. And obviously down 4, ball at your own 30, 2 minutes left, 1 timeout. I'll trust Patrick Mahomes to get that done. They have that superpower going for them, and that's not going away, which is why it's not time to panic. But I do think this is the first time they've lost 3 games in a row in Mahomes' career, which is insane. It was only the second time he's ever been a home underdog, which is insane. Imagine being a fan of this team. It's for the last 8 years, I've seen my team be a home underdog twice. It's just it's impossible. So that's why the sky isn't falling, because this is just these are champagne problems that basically every other franchise in the world would want. But I think that once you get blown out in a Super Bowl and have lost 3 straight games and are 0-2, the Giants, rightly or wrongly, the Giants are going to feel like they can win next week. The air of invincibility, I think, around the Chiefs has just been, chipped away at here over the last 6 months.
How is it possible the refs can miss 2 neutral zone infractions on the tush push?
I hate the tush push, man. I don't know. I don't know. We have this replay assist, which we never know when it's going to be used, but when it's used, it seems to be a positive, but we don't know when it's going to be used. And then we have this virtual measurement that they're it's the first time all game we've used the virtual measurement. I'm like, why? It feels like the virtual measurement should be used all of the time if we have the technology like this. So those little things are going to happen. We want it to be perfect. And the problem is we are watching on 65-inch TVs in high definition. So we still have more information than the refs. So it's very we're hey, that guy's in the neutral zone, but they miss it. I have no idea how.
You grew up in Chicago.
Yeah.
You're a Bears fan.
Yeah.
And I need your assessment on the first 2 weeks of Ben Johnson.
Do we have to do this?
We have to.
I mean, listen, week 1 I thought was rough for Ben Johnson specifically. He messed up the challenge and he got greedy and tried to get the extra 5 yards on the kickoff before the 2-minute warning, trusting Cairo Santos, who has one of the weakest legs in the NFL, to kick it out the back of the end zone instead of just kicking it out of bounds and going to the 40-yard line, which effectively ended them the game. So a young, analytically driven, aggressive coach cannot mess up things like that. So I thought it was a disappointing game 1 from a game management, game theory perspective. But there still are positives. Their opening script has looked good. both games with touchdowns to start. So like that's coaching and preparation, and that was really good. Caleb again had real nice stretches of accuracy, which was a problem for him last year. So I think that's the Ben Johnson effect. But today wasn't on Ben Johnson, man. Today was the Lions are the much better team, and the Bears defense is clearly not great, but it also was injured. And Dan Campbell played the must-win card in week 2. That's like a very early must-win card to be
Sure
played.
is.
And
Yep.
so like they came out and they just curb stomped the Bears. And so I thought that it was much more about like Dennis Allen's defense and about the Lions than today had any sort of referendum on Ben Johnson. People are like, oh, Dan Campbell went for it on 4th down to run up the score. He must really hate Ben Johnson. I'm like, Dan Campbell just goes for it on 4th down. Like, you know, Lions fans were chanting F Ben Johnson, which I thought was a little ridiculous. Like, he took an 8-figure job to be a head coach of a team. Like, I don't think people would begrudge him for leaving Detroit for that. But, you know, it was Detroit's just in a different class than the Bears. That's what today was, just in a different class.
So you're really good at pragmatic analysis, which is why I love you. But I don't know if you are colored in your Caleb Williams assessment, because
it's a fair accusation. It's a fair accusation.
I look at Caleb Williams and go, I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for him to put it together where I'm like, oh, okay, I can see it. There's the flashes are so brief and the bad is so bad that I'm really wondering whether he should have been the number 1 overall pick last year. Are you still optimistic?
Well, okay, so there's a few things. Like, he should not have been the number 1 overall pick. Like, Jaden Daniels went to the NFC Championship game and had the best rookie quarterback season ever. Like, Jaden Daniels, there's an Atlantic Ocean sized gap between him and Caleb right now. Like, can that gap be made up? Yeah. And Jaden did not look good Thursday night against the Packers. So, like, we'll see how his year 2 goes. But, like, the gap between Caleb and Jaden right now is going to take months to close, if not years to close. So he should not have been the number 1 pick based on how Jaden Daniels has done. Like, Jaden deserves that distinction. It's very frustrating to me that a guy who can make some of the degree of difficulty plays that Caleb can make misses the layups. It would be like if Steph Curry was a bad free throw shooter. Like, it's really insanely frustrating because, like, I really do think that some of the plays that Caleb Williams makes, it's like, oh, damn, that's a Josh Allen throw. Or, like, that's a Mahomes play. Or, like, that's a rocket for an arm, mobility, willing to take deep shots, athletic, escapability, fast, tough. He's 230 pounds. Like, I think there's like a lot, all of the physical traits look to me like a 95th percentile guy. So it's going to take me a long time to give up on that. When I know that last year he was playing with practice squad guys on the offensive line, a play caller who was fired 9 games in, and a head coach who was fired in season when the Bears had never done that in the history of the organization. So like last year was a tire fire. He deserves some of the blame for it, right? He took 68 sacks. The stat they showed last week on Monday Night Football, I had to verify with our researcher at First Things First because I was like, ESPN had to have gotten that wrong, and they didn't. 28 of Caleb Williams' sacks last year came where he was holding the ball for more than 5 seconds.
Wow.
That's insane. Like,
wow.
Like, I would venture to guess that Peyton Manning did not take 28 5-second sacks in his career. Like,
you'd be surprised if he held onto the football for 5 seconds 28 times in an entire season.
That's exactly. So some of that stuff is like very alarming, right? On Caleb and like post-snap processing and like, does he have it between the ears? Is he working hard enough? All of that stuff. But I gotta believe that with good coaching and a better infrastructure around him and time, that he will learn how to hit the layups, because I know he can hit the 35-foot threes. And if those two things can ever come together, I think it can be a special player. But, and as I ramble here, what I said last week on the TV show is like, I do think that there's the potential that this ends up as like a Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray type of situation, where it's like he gets the second contract. He's undeniably talented. But, like, is it a good contract? Can you win with that guy? Is he consistent? Or is he just going to be a dude who makes $300 million and is very, very frustrating and ultimately underwhelming. Like, I do think that that's on the range of potential outcomes, but people talk about him like he could still be a bust. And I just think the physical talent is way too immense for that to be possible.
Danny Parkins joining us here from FS1 First Things First. And for joining us here on the show tonight, you will receive a complimentary bottle of Santo Tequila. This is Guy Fieri and rock legend Sammy Hagar's signature tequila. It is amazing. It's my favorite tequila. I don't just say that. It is an epic, taste smooth tequila. So I know you were watching the kids today. This is your gift for watching the kids. You get to sip like daddy. Nice.
It would have been nice 6 hours ago. Take the edge off with these Hot Wheels, and when Daddy's trying to watch the quad box, But no, thank you very much. Is it good in a margarita?
Delicious in a margarita. It is so smooth you could have it straight if you wanted, but amazing in a margarita.
All right, great. Yeah, I'll do it on ice, and then I'll do it in a marg, and I'll report back.
And people don't know how hard dad duty is on a Sunday when you have to talk about football. They don't realize, you got kids running around. It's loud. You're distracted. You're like, what just happened in the red zone over there? Wait, who just threw a pick over there? It's not easy.
It's not easy. My wife is a saint. She deserved a day out, and she got some childcare for me for football, but there was just like a brief overlap where there wasn't. And like, even in those like 30 minutes, I was like, guys, it's 3rd and 7 for Caleb. Like, and my kid's like 3 and 5 years old. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, it's fair. Sorry.
You on First Things First tomorrow?
Yeah. So the show is, now it's 3 to 6 Eastern every day. And I'm on from 5 to 6 Eastern every day as part of the expanded First Things First. But obviously lock in right at the start, because like America's favorite pastime based on the ratings apparently is when Nick Wright has to eat crow.
That's right.
Like the rating that they got after the Super Bowl loss to the Eagles was so unbelievably hilarious to me, because it was just it was so high. It was like, wait, what just happened? And it's like, oh yeah, people love watching my best friend have to take it on the chin. And so tomorrow should be pretty hilarious at 3:00.
And I'm a good friend of Nick as well, and I really enjoy watching that as well. I will enjoy watching that tomorrow and take it on the chin.
It'll be great. I'll be locked in, and I'll be there. I'm gonna just have a front row seat. It's gonna be great.
Danny, thanks, buddy.
Hey, anytime, DA. Thanks, man.
All right, Danny Parkins joining us from FS1 First Things First. Excellent as always, and thanks to Santo Tequila for making this happen throughout the football season. All of our guests will receive a bottle of Santo Tequila. It is smooth. It is delicious. It is made with high quality ingredients. Guy and Sammy know their tequila. Guy is obviously a food connoisseur, a drink connoisseur. And as we know, Sammy Hagar, maybe you don't know, founded Cabo Wabo Tequila. So if you like that, you know that he knows good tequila. He's done it again with Santo. I love the stuff. Really, I truly do. I think you will as well. Thanks to Santo for supporting the show. They love the show. And Santo's going to be all over my trip to Buffalo in a couple of weeks. We are 2 weeks away from my trip to Buffalo. And so Santo is going to help me have a listener watch party, listener meet and greet, basically, at Sandbaggers in Hamburg, New York, okay? So this is south of the city, close to Orchard Park where the stadium is. On Saturday afternoon, Sandbaggers is going to host a meet and greet, and it's a great place because it's not only a sports bar, it's a golf simulator. So on Saturday, the day before the game, you got to come by because beers are on me. I'm putting the credit card down, okay? It's on me. I want everybody to come by. I want you to say hello. I want to say what's going on, talk a little football, maybe get a little golf simulation in there. The meetup is Saturday, September 27th is when I will be there, all right? In the afternoon, we'll hang out. Beers on me. Santo Tequila will be flowing. Have yourself a nice marg with the Santo. Have yourself a shot. Have yourself it neat, whatever you want. I'm telling you, it's delicious. And we'll have blue lights and whatever else they got over there. Enjoy yourself. Come see me. That's Saturday the 27th. That date is wrong. It's September 27th. Sandbaggers, which is in downtown Hamburg. They're great for football season. They're sponsoring my Bill Matic podcast. Okay, so I will be down there on Saturday, having a good time. Come on down and see me, and we'll eat, drink, and be merry. Saturday, watch a little college football. maybe some baseball on the big screens, and away we go. Can't wait for that. So very cool to have Danny here on the show as always. And a little reminder about the merch store. That's right. We have our merch store, which is up and running. We've got all these classic DA show t-shirts. We also have them in hoodies and tank tops. Who knows? Maybe at Sandbaggers, I might bring a few t-shirts. Who, perhaps. I know this. I'm going to have a ton of Santo giveaways there, which include cool merch like hats and t-shirts and hoodies from Santos. So we're going to have a bunch of stuff to give away. You got to be there. But in doing so, why don't we do this glamour video series, this photo shoot where yours truly was just living it up next to the water in Newport a couple of weeks ago during Labor Day weekend. You know, my in-laws live up there in Narragansett, Rhode Island, which is about 20, 30 minutes from Newport. So I got to go out near the Newport Bridge and actually act like I was cool. Watch this. So check it out. The merch store is at watchdastore.com. Watchdastore.com. Again, they got hoodies. We got tanks. Brian, the guys at the Last Dive Bar have just done such an amazing job for me. The designs are awesome. The quality of the t-shirts awesome, and the hoodies are awesome. I'm just so grateful that they still are huge supporters of the show. We love the guys at Last Dive Bar and want to support them with the merch store as well. Remember, if you're a member, you get a discount to the merch store, okay? And look at how many beautiful emojis are in this chat right now. God, I love this. First of all, look at all the orange emoji badges, all the orange loyalty badges. That's for duration of memberships, which is really cool. I like that. But look, you got Randy Trask. He's got all the beers. You got Delta 9 Brian, Backwards Brian with Morty D'Souza in the house. I love that. You have Wallace with Cinnamon Berry. Delta 9 Brian also gave me like 9 rows of the cats, which I absolutely love. And all these emojis are just the best. And how do you use those emojis? Well, you got to be a member. Got to sign up to be a member. And what do you get when you're a member? Well, not only do you get to use custom emojis that are inside jokes here on the show and the radio show, but also you get Ask DA Anything chats, which we did this week on Tuesday. And I remember to turn my mic on, which was a huge win. Really big win there. But also, we just talk about life in general, which is pretty cool. You know, I said that you guys can ask me anything about week number 1 of the NFL season, and that's where I started just talking about the NFL action. And then we just veered into life and love and laughter and philosophies and growing up and vacation as a family and memories of my grandma, and it was just amazing. And so it's just a really special group of people that come together on this show on Sunday nights and have become members. It really is a family. And it was an amazing chat again. That was our 3rd one that we did, and it's a members only chat. And so I highly encourage you to become a member and meet all these wonderful people that gather for these monthly sessions. It was about an hour and a half that we did the other night, so nobody gets shortchanged. It's a pretty cool time. And there's also members only videos. This week, I'm going to release an interview that I did with the director of this amazing documentary called Secret Mall Apartment. This story is wild. And, you know, I get a lot of pitches to my inbox. Some I just like, And some I'm like, wait a second. This movie is about a group of 4 20-somethings back in the early 2000s who found a secret area of the Providence Place Mall in Rhode Island and set up shop there. Their homes and neighborhood had been knocked down to make the mall. And they were like, you know what? This is our practical joke on them. And they found a spot in the mall and they lived there off and on for 4 years. For 4 freaking years. And they have all the footage. They took footage on this little handheld camera for all those 4 years. It is mind-blowing. So I had the director on. So we're going to release that Q&DA this week. And then with it, I will do a members-only video called the Raw Feed. So if you're a member, you get to see that as well. So sign up. If you're not a member already, click on this button above me that says join. And for the low, low price of $3.99 a month, you can get members-only content and use all these emojis, which what could be better than cinnamon berries and John Fisher the Clown and Morty D'Souza and Rosie the Cat? Really? What could be better than that? Thanks, everybody. You guys are the man and the woman, and I love you, and you know that. And by the way, speaking of, we have a very special event in the D-Alien universe coming up. And so why don't we go inside a little Exhale Cocktails to do exactly that and to salute some of you who have sent me some pretty good looking food and drink. For the Exhale Cocktails, here is Psych Mamter, who gives us Hot Seat Malt Liquor, which has the face of the one and only Where's Waldo, Mike McDaniel on it. Oh boy, those Dolphins. How many different ways can you lose a game? Special teams, kicking, big plays, penalties, stepping out of bounds. Oh, this Dolphins team has it all. What a fun ride these first two games have been. The Dolphins are 0-2, and McDaniel's seat gets hot. Next up for the XL Cocktails, here's Donger. And you know, there's just a place to be had on a football Sunday for a Busch Light. The Bengals are 2-0, not 0-2. We're on the Jake Browning revenge game against the Vikings, part duh, with the loss potentially of Joe Burrow. But you know, that looks like it's a Busch Light tall boy, and I'm not going to say no to that. Every time around April, the Busch Light people hook me in, I guess figuratively, not literally, but by doing the start of fishing, like trout season type of branding. And I see that case of Busch Light out there in April in my grocery store. And through the entire winter, I'm always like, pass by that. But then I see it's like the fishing, display. And then there's a display where they support the farmers with the corn. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And you get an ice cold bucket of Busch Lights, and it's just delicious. I don't know what to tell you. Now, it has to be ice cold. Busch Light must be served ice cold. But when it is, and you drink it, it's the best lawn beer ever. I'm always a Busch Light guy on the old zero-turn lawnmower. That to me on a hot summer day, beautiful. So I like that from the Donger. And then how about this next one? This is exciting. Exhale Cocktail becomes an Exhale food dish from Kristen in Buffalo. That's right, Gal Fieri. Week 2 football food of the week is a mashup honoring the Broncos and the Colts. An Indianapolis pork tenderloin sandwich topped with Denver green chili sauce. How good does that look? And that looks like it might be a sourdough bun. That looks perfectly fried, that tenderloin. And I love that green sauce. It's almost like a mole, a green chili sauce. Oh my goodness, does that look good? And I mentioned before the announcement, I mean, the first lady of the D.A. show, Kristen in Buffalo, is nearly going to deliver. We are only a couple of weeks away from Kristen having her child, which so exciting. Remember back in June, she released the news to all of us. She broke the news at Bob's Bar, and now we're almost here, October. The baby's coming. So obviously all the love to Kristen's family and to the beautiful couple. And they're going to be amazing mom and dad. And we have our first child of the D.A. show, which is pretty darn exciting. And this child will be lavished with gifts and love and catchphrases and drops. Lots of them. So we're thinking of you, Kristen. Thanks so much for continuing to do football food of the week when you're in your third trimester. That's a warrior right there, and that's why you're my captain. But that is so cool. We're all excited to see you as a mom coming up here. You're going to be awesome at it. That is pretty cool. All right. So that is your Exhale Cocktails. And now it's time to welcome on Aiden Hatton, our Market Marvel for our beam ups coming up here tonight. All right. Our beam ups. And we got tweets coming in. We got, oh, look at that Tribe Called Quest hoodie. That looks badass. Nicely done.
You already know. You already know. That might be a Spotify Wrapped top 5 situation. Not even just can I kick it. I actually have a hot take. Can I kick it is actually not in my top 10 favorite Tribe Called Quest songs. There are a lot more.
I haven't ever ranked my top 10, but that would be a fun exercise to do. I love Tribe because it's from that golden era of the 90s of hip hop, but also it's got all this jazz influence. So you can listen to it if you want to get hyped, but you can also listen to it if you want to just chill and be mellow. So it walks this unbelievable line Tribe does. So that's awesome. That's a great hoodie. So
maybe we do like a little snake draft one day. I'm actually giving you ideas for the Monday through Friday show, but your Wednesday draft should now be 90s hip hop, either albums or songs by an artist. I feel like there's something there.
I like that. We've had a lot of good comments coming in. We've been flooded with comments tonight, so I'm excited to see what you picked out.
We have, and I think my favorite string of them came from the Sean McVay Fitzmagic, and the two that best stood out were Moist Pork first writing, "When I become a head coach, I'll bring back the suit." You can't tell the story of the show without that, plus Psych Mamter alley-ooping that with, "When I become the head coach, I'm taking off an article of clothing every time my team gives up a score."
Well, I'd like to see both of those, to be quite frank. When Moist shows up in a 3-piece suit, I'm all about that at Lambeau Field. And then I'm very much about Psych Mamter, much like Major League, removing an article of clothing to motivate everybody. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Another member of the Jedi Council, Cigar City Capo, says, "The Low End Theory and then my favorite Tribe Called Quest album, Midnight Marauders, well ahead. Thank you, CCC. This guy knows ball." But back to our regularly scheduled agenda. Smitty Werben Jaegerman Jensen, also from the council, writes, "Yesterday, I saw a video thumbnail with what appeared to be the Market Marvel as a podcast guest, and I got so hyped, but upon further inspection, it was Brian Hoyer." I have so many questions here, Smitty, or Mr. Werben Jaegerman Jensen. Number one, Brian Hoyer, he's bald.
Yeah.
He has good facial hair like me, although I got to trim up tomorrow. But either way, he's an NFL quarterback, and I'm not. I wonder what the other similarities were. Just wondering.
Yeah, I don't see the resemblance at all with Brian Hoyer. He's really bald. He's got like the Bic head bald. I don't know. He doesn't have a beard either. So you got hair on both the top and the bottom of your head.
Big time. I've met him in person, Brian Hoyer. Very nice guy. Great golfer. And I don't know what it is. And I'd love to know. Maybe it's the Quick Snap podcast that he does with David Andrews. Very great podcast, by the way. But he had a hat on. Okay, so now he's explaining himself here in the chat. So he had a beard almost the same as me. So you know what? I'm gonna take that because we actually, Brian and I have a mutual friend. So I'm gonna run into him with that next time I see him, hopefully. Drunkle Sam writes, "The Market Marvel looks more like a kicker." That's probably true. I don't want to be
you and I. Yeah, we resemble a pair of kickers here.
Yeah, this is the show, Watch D.A Live, where you see two kickers come around over the course of the night. And that's it for now. I don't want to go too far past the time here, but two good ones about Tribe Called Quest, as well as a bad doppelganger. And the Sean McVay, I was so glad that people love the Sean McVay Fitzmagic because I put that on tee for you and 400 yards down the middle of the fairway.
Yep. It was a good read. That was a hot read by Aiden, who said, "Oh, this DA is going to like this one. Here you go. Take it and run with it." I loved it. We had some good suggestions also on the tequila. Craig mentions that free tequila is good tequila, and that is absolutely correct. And Santo gives our guest free tequila, which is pretty great. Cigar City Capitalist tequila with pineapple juice and Perrier. That does sound refreshing. And Psych adds, "Give the kids tequila. Problem solved." It's very funny that my mom clearly was given some type of alcohol, and my dad as well when they were kids, because when we had AJ and he was just screaming and crying constantly, would never sleep. My mom said, whatever you do, don't give him whiskey, as though that was going to be one of my solutions, because clearly it was a solution in her household. And my dad goes, have you given him whiskey? No, he didn't. And just rub it on his gums. No, I think we're good. I think we'll try something else. Like a binky.
That's crazy to start with the dark with the babies. I mean, I know that was not my first liquor. To start with the dark, I know you're a big dark guy, much more than I am, but start him young.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like bourbon, but I certainly wouldn't. If I'm 6 weeks old, I certainly wouldn't have wanted it at that point in time. But they say it, numbs the pain of teething of the gums, or if a kid can't sleep, it knocks him out, I guess. But no, we didn't.
You know what? I got a baby question for you, because new dads, and new, I'm going to put in air quotes here, like to describe their, let's say AJ is X amount of months. Oh, AJ's 21 months. He's 22 months. Can we just say he's 2 or 1.5? When does that stop for you? When do you start calling him years instead of months?
I'm glad that you mentioned this, because I was just thinking about this the other day. Somebody asked me how old AJ was, and I said 2.5, but he's 2 and 3 months. He'll be 2 and 4 months by the end of September. And I'm like, I'm not going to go through the math of it. Well, he's 2 years old and 3 months, or 2 years old and 4 months. So I just said 2.5 is close enough. But we're also into the category of like, he's 27 months. And we just stopped doing months once he hit 1. By the time he hit 1, nobody wants to hear he's 14 months. He's 16 months. It goes month up until you're a year old, then a year. And then anything after a year that's less than 2 years he's 18 months old. And then after 18 months old, he's 2 years old. And then after that, it's just full years. Maybe it's 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. I think even by 3.5, nobody says 3.5. They just say he's 3. So it just, the months thing, you have to start thinking about it, computing it, doing the math. People don't want to do that. I try to streamline it.
I'll give you 18 months. I think we're pretty in lockstep on that. That's coming now from a dad, so.
And Drunkle Sam adds, Frosted Bourbon Flakes. They're great.
We need Psych Mamter on the AI for that next week.
Okay, it is time for our Little Mo laugh of the day. And here, check this out. This is very funny. Aiden found this one. And Little Mo always was a good laugh. And he was always a dude that had a great sense of humor. So should we just, let's put this up right now. You remember last week how the Oregon Duck lost its head? It ran out of the tunnel and the head went rolling, and the Duck mascot ran back into the tunnel. Well, Oregon played Northwestern this weekend, and the Northwestern mascot started trolling the Oregon Duck mascot. Look at him holding up a sign that says, "Head home," with the Oregon Ducks' head on the ground right in front of him, as Oregon's Duck is just sitting there on the ground, minding his own business, watching this game. You have Northwestern's Wildcat putting this up in front of him. Wow, right in his face. But wait, there's more. Look at the Oregon Duck, and there he is on the sideline. And what was the reference here? Is there a sign behind him? I forget. You told me this, Aiden.
Mocking the band next to him on the right.
Oh, he's mocking the band, right? Oh, so he was firing back at Northwestern by, mocking the band, acting like he's in the marching band, holding some type of drumsticks or some type of baton or something like that. Here's the Oregon Duck. Mascot wars here on the sideline in Evanston. And then the mascot reading Fourth Wing. That's right, to the sidelines there. Fourth Wing, as he's hanging out and trolling the fact that the game is over. This is like an A.J. Brown situation, except he's really satisfied with how the game is going. He's not frustrated at all. It's such a laugher. He's on the goalpost reading a book, Fourth Wing. I mean, mascot in the Big Ten, that's good, because the Big Ten action isn't nearly as entertaining as the mascot action. The SEC had a hell of a weekend this weekend, a lot of great games, and the Big Ten not so much. But there you go. Mascot rivalries in the Big Ten is what it's all about on Saturdays. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight here on the show. Thanks to my guest, Danny Parkins. Thanks, as always, to the Market Marvel, Aiden Hatton. And like I said, thanks to everybody who joined me on the Ask D.A. Anything on Tuesday. We'll do another one coming up in October. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, there's a Raw Feed series coming up and a great interview, Q&DA, with the director of Secret Mall Apartment. That's the name of the movie. And it's going to be available streaming on Tuesday, Secret Mall Apartment. And we're just going to continue to rock it throughout the week. Watch for clips on this YouTube channel, more takes, Bill Matic, a full reaction to the Bills and Jets game on Sunday, and much, much more. I will see you tomorrow morning on Mad Dog Sports Radio, channel 82 on the DA Show with Babchick, breaking down everything from week 2 of the NFL. Thanks, everybody. Love you very much. Be good to one another. And the Watch DA Sunday Pig Pile disconnects.